Ben Affleck didn't sit down with GQ to attack Jennifer Lopez. When his interview came out on March 25, 2025, it finally gave words to what fans had been wondering for months. Their marriage didn't end because of one shocking scandal or a dramatic betrayal. Instead, it slowly unraveled under the weight of two very different lives. Ben even made it clear there was no scandal, no soap opera, no intrigue. But if nothing explosive happened, then what really brought one of Hollywood's biggest love stories to an end? The answer is far more complicated than most headlines ever suggested. For years, the public viewed Ben as someone caught in circumstances beyond his control. But his own words tell a different story. During the interview, he used a simple comparison that explained everything. He said you can't marry a ship captain and then complain about spending time on the water. In other words, he knew exactly who Jennifer Lopez was before they got married. He knew she lived in a world filled with cameras, headlines, public appearances, and constant attention. None of that came as a surprise. But here's where things take an unexpected turn. Ben admitted that the problem wasn't Jennifer. It was his belief that he could live comfortably inside that world forever. He accepted the journey with his eyes wide open, but over time realized the cost was much higher than he expected. Loving someone doesn't automatically mean you can thrive inside their lifestyle. He wanted peace and privacy. Jennifer's career demanded visibility. Those two realities kept pulling in opposite directions. Could anyone really balance both without eventually breaking? That simple metaphor revealed something many people overlooked. Ben wasn't blaming Jennifer for being successful or famous. Instead, he was taking responsibility for thinking he could adapt to a life that never truly matched his personality. He understood what he was signing up for, yet eventually discovered that understanding something and living it every single day are completely different experiences. And that realization changed everything. The breakup wasn't one dramatic explosion. It was a slow recognition that love alone couldn't erase fundamental differences. They cared about each other, but they experienced the world in opposite ways. Ben naturally gravitated toward quiet moments away from cameras. Jennifer had built a global entertainment empire where attention was part of everyday life. Neither person was wrong. They simply needed different things. But what happened next made the story even more emotional. Ben's interview also challenged the usual celebrity breakup narrative. Instead of blaming his former wife, he described an internal struggle. He wasn't exhausted by Jennifer herself. He was exhausted by the environment surrounding their relationship. The endless media coverage, the constant speculation, and the pressure of living under a microscope slowly wore him down. His comments sounded less like criticism and more like someone honestly admitting his own limits. But there was another clue hiding in the timeline, and it changed how many people viewed the breakup. Months before Ben ever spoke publicly, Jennifer Lopez made a decision that carried enormous symbolic weight. On August 20, 2024, she officially filed for divorce. That date wasn't random. It marked exactly 2 years since their grand wedding celebration in Georgia. Was that simply a coincidence, or was it one final message? The court filing revealed even more. Although the paperwork was submitted in August, it listed April 26, 2024, as their official separation date. That meant the relationship had effectively ended months earlier. During that time, rumors filled entertainment news while neither of them confirmed much publicly. Jennifer waited until their anniversary before making the legal move official. The timing transformed an ordinary filing into something much more meaningful. Their relationship had started with hope and excitement. They first married in a small Las Vegas ceremony in July 2022 before celebrating with a lavish wedding in Georgia a month later. The Georgia ceremony became the public symbol of Jennifer's long-awaited reunion. By choosing its anniversary for the divorce filing, Jennifer seemed to close the chapter on that public fairy tale once and for all. But another surprising detail made the situation even more significant. Reports revealed the couple never signed a prenuptial agreement. That meant everything earned during their marriage could become part of the legal process. For two people with enormous careers and business interests, skipping a prenup suggested genuine confidence that this marriage would last. They believed in their second chance enough to move forward without extra protections. But reality eventually proved stronger than optimism. And that raises an uncomfortable question. Can nostalgia ever rebuild a relationship if the original differences never truly disappear? While Ben would later explain the breakup through logic and compatibility, Jennifer experienced it very differently. Months before his interview, she spoke openly about the emotional devastation she endured. During an October 2024 conversation with comedian Nikki Glazer for Interview magazine, Jennifer described that summer as one of the hardest periods of her entire life. She said her whole world exploded. Those words painted a picture very different from the calm analysis Ben would later provide. Jennifer described losing far more than a marriage. She lost the future she believed she was building. At the same time, she had to face relentless public attention as millions of people analyzed every rumor and every photograph. Instead of hiding from the experience, she admitted it forced her into deep personal reflection. And what she discovered surprised many people. She realized she didn't need another relationship to feel complete. Jennifer openly said she wasn't looking for anyone new. Her focus shifted away from romance and toward rebuilding herself. That statement marked a major emotional turning point. While Ben eventually explained why the marriage didn't work, Jennifer first explained what surviving its collapse actually felt like. But why did their public reflections sound so different? The answer seems to lie in timing. Jennifer experienced the emotional shock first. She lived through the heartbreak while the separation was still fresh. Ben spoke months later, after gaining enough distance to understand his own role in the marriage's failure. Their interviews weren't contradicting each other. They were describing different stages of the same painful experience. Jennifer talked about healing. Ben talked about acceptance. Together, their stories painted a much fuller picture than the gossip columns ever did. Instead of enemies attacking each other through the media, they appeared to be two people processing the same loss in completely different ways. Could that be why their public comments remained surprisingly respectful? Just weeks after Ben's GQ interview, another moment shifted public perception again. During the premiere of The Accountant 2 in April 2025, reporters naturally expected awkward questions about Jennifer Lopez. Instead, Ben surprised everyone with his response. Rather than avoiding her name, he praised her. He called Jennifer spectacular and spoke warmly about her relationship with his children. That wasn't exactly what critics expected to hear. His comments didn't erase what he had already admitted about their incompatible lifestyles. Instead, they added an important layer. Ben made it clear that the marriage ending didn't mean Jennifer had become a bad person. In fact, he separated his admiration for her character from the challenges of living inside her world. That distinction changed the entire conversation. The premiere also highlighted something many people had overlooked. Their blended family remained connected. All 5 children were present to support the event, showing that despite the divorce, the adults involved were trying to protect those relationships. Instead of feeding tabloid drama, Ben emphasized respect, maturity, and stability. But was that simply good public relations, or something much more genuine? His actions suggested that successful co-parenting mattered more than winning public sympathy. He refused to turn Jennifer into the villain simply because their marriage failed. At the same time, he stood by everything he had already admitted about their differences. He respected her while maintaining healthy boundaries. That balance isn't always easy, especially under constant media attention. Perhaps the biggest surprise was that Ben showed it's possible to deeply admire someone without believing you're compatible as life partners. He appreciated Jennifer as a mother figure to his children and respected everything she brought to their family. Yet he also accepted that he couldn't live comfortably inside the non-stop spotlight surrounding her career. Those two ideas can exist at the same time, even if many people struggle to understand them. Then came one final revelation that quietly closed the story. Reports later claimed Ben's GQ interview wasn't meant to start a new conversation. It was designed to end one. According to people familiar with the situation, he wanted to clear the air once and then stop discussing Jennifer publicly altogether. Suddenly, the interview looked less like an emotional confession and more like a carefully planned goodbye. Looking back at everything, the timeline begins to make sense. Ben admitted he couldn't thrive inside Jennifer's highly public life. Jennifer admitted the breakup shattered her emotionally before she rebuilt herself. Later, both of them publicly demonstrated mutual respect while protecting their blended family. Piece by piece, they reclaimed control of a story that had long belonged to tabloids. Perhaps the most human detail is that Ben reportedly isn't proud their marriage ended. There's no victory in his silence. No celebration. Just acceptance that some relationships simply can't survive the pressure surrounding them. Rather than continuing to fight public narratives, he chose to focus on his children, his work, and a quieter life away from constant speculation. In the end, this story isn't really about betrayal. It's about compatibility. It's about understanding that two people can genuinely love each other while still realizing they aren't built for the same life. Ben admitted he couldn't handle the water. Jennifer admitted her world exploded when everything fell apart. Together, those two confessions complete the picture. Their love may have been real, but the spotlight surrounding it proved impossible to escape. And sometimes, even the greatest Hollywood love stories end not with one dramatic moment, but with two people finally accepting the truth they can no longer ignore.